Hey, pal. So, overthinking is not something we were born with. It's not. It's not something that we were born into the world with. The only thing we can really do is cry. Like, that's all we can really do as a baby. We can move around and cry, and that will, humans have evolved to the point where they know what babies are crying for. And that's all part of evolution. But the thing is, the main point is that it is overthinking is not something we were born with. It's not. We didn't come into the world overthinking. It's something that was instilled in us through life experience and through other people. It was something we were taught. It was something that we developed over time to not, like, it moved away from surviving and it became about like being the most optimal or avoiding failure in general, right? Everything's got to be done the best way. Everything's got to be done in a way where nobody can be like, nah, that's a flop. Or what do they say nowadays? Oh, that's mid, bro. That's mid. Or like, you fell off, stuff like that. It's kind of stuff you hear every day now, especially in the online gaming space, bro. It's like you hop on a game of Marvel Rivals, let's say, for example. Hop on a game of Marvel Rivals. Oh, maybe today I want to learn how to play Spider-Man. You go play Spider-Man, you don't do good, you never played Spider-Man any time in your life. You just look at the hero page just today, you're figuring out what he does. And some dude on the enemy team who's like level 100 plays Spider-Man 24/7, doesn't even play anybody else, only plays Spider-Man. End of the game, right? End of the game, he goes, ha, Spidey diff. Or they'll say some dumb shit like, put up the mask, Spidey. Like, what are you talking about? That's the kind of stuff that makes people not believe, bro. That's the kind of stuff that makes people overthink. When you were younger, if you have an overthinking problem now, more than likely somebody in your life came along and they hurt you in a way, or they made you think in a way that taught you to overthink, if that makes sense. They made you doubt yourself, or they made you think that what you were doing was like inadequate or wrong or not good enough. So you began to think of more ways you could improve, which is good, right, to a point. But then you were exposed to that attitude over and over and over. This person tells you you're not good enough. Someone else comes along, they tell you you're not good enough. Someone else comes along, they're like, no, that's not right, you should do it this way. No, I don't think that's like the correct way. I think you should be doing it this way. And next thing you know, all these different opinions coming from left and right, they're piling up, and you got people telling you which way and what way and when and how to do whatever you want to do, every way except for the way that you think you should do it. And then that piece of you that wants to do it a certain way now has to conflict with everybody else's opinions, right? And it's like clashing. It just clashes over and over, ping, 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 because you have it in yourself. You have a specific way that you want to do something, and you think about it, right? Say you had a brand new idea, just thought about it, nobody else was around. You're like, that would be a pretty good idea. Then you decide to ask your friend, or you decide to ask your parent, hey, I was thinking of doing this thing. Let's say, for example, it's like YouTube. Since you're on YouTube right now, let's use that as a perfect example. Hey, I want to get into YouTube. Okay, then your mom or your dad or your friend who's never done YouTube in their life, who's never experienced what it's like to do YouTube, who never even tried, they're gonna be like, well, I don't think you should be doing that because yada 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 XYZ, whatever reason they have. And let's say you believe them. Okay, they're probably right. Now, whenever you want to do YouTube again, whenever you get that feeling like maybe I should, you're going to think on that, right? You're going to think about that time you tried and you brought it up to somebody else. And now that becomes a core part that you attach to the idea of doing that thing. Just like the example I said earlier, like playing Marvel Rivals, right? I want to learn how to play Spider-Man. After that first experience you had with that other Spider-Man player, every time you want to play Spider-Man, you're going to think about that now. You're going to think about that time that somebody went, Spidey diff, bro. And you're going to be like, nah, maybe I won't do that today. Maybe I'll just pick something that I'm comfortable with, that I know how to play. And that applies to just life in general, like we weren't born with this innate feeling of not being good enough. it's not something that gets passed down to you. Like if your parent was an overthinker, you're not automatically an overthinker when you're born, right? You're raised in an environment where people are constantly making you overthink, and that's how you become an overthinker. Like you were taught to be that way, right? You were taught through either word of mouth or by example or through negative experiences to overthink every decision you make. And this comes from everywhere. This comes from family, this comes from friends, this comes from workplaces especially. Workplaces are the worst at doing this to people. Generally the worst, especially if you have a bad manager, dude. And that's a whole other story. That's a whole other story, because everybody knows that a bad manager ruins any job. And you cannot convince me otherwise, bro. One bad manager will genuinely ruin a really good job for you. You can't tell me any different, because I've experienced that too many times to not think that's the case. But it loops back into that main idea, right? Before you worked at that job, before you brought that idea up to somebody else, before you were met with that criticism that made you into an overthinker, because you attach your fear to the outcome of whatever it is you're doing. You attach your fear to an example of what happens when you try. And people in our lives who don't necessarily see things the same way we do, or don't have the same passions, they insert their own beliefs onto you, and then it makes you question your own beliefs, right? It makes you question whether or not what you're doing is right for you because somebody else said it wasn't right for them. Somebody else said, oh, that's not going to work out. Somebody else said, no, you're not doing that good enough. You should be doing this, this, and this. But do you really have to, bro? Like, do you really have to? Like, think about that. Really, really look yourself in the mirror and be like, how much of what I think actually came from other people? How much of what you think was an original idea in your head about the quality of your work or the outcome of what you do? You know what I mean? At what point along the way did you start attaching your fear to the outcome? Because if you really think about it, and I know you've done a lot of thinking if you're watching this video, try thinking about it in this way. Like I said, you were not born with that. You were not born with the overthinking part of your nature, of your character. That was grown, that was developed, that was taught to you, and then you reinforced that with your own thoughts, and that's why you overthink. There's something inside of you that's telling you that what other people are saying are wrong. And you know, dude, you fight with it every day. Tell me you don't fight with that every single day. As an overthinker, tell me you don't fight with the opinions of other people every single day. You do. You know how I know? Because I do. And that's something I'm trying to fight through every single day, bro. I'm trying to break that habit of letting other people's opinions or other people's lack of experience tell me how to live. Tell me whether what I'm doing is right or wrong for me. Because maybe it might be right or wrong for them, but it's not right or wrong for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you, bro? Who are you? Person watching this video, who are you? That's what matters. It doesn't matter what Jimmy down the street said to you, because Jimmy down the street doesn't do what you do. It doesn't even matter what your parents say to you. I mean, don't get me wrong, not all advice from parents are bad, because parents and, grandparents, your uncles, your aunts, they have life experience. And in some ways that can be very useful to you, because you learn, to look at things in a certain way that are actually very healthy for your mind and for your body. And take that stuff and run with it. Because say, for example, you have an uncle who's like super fit, because I have quite a bit of them. They play a lot of sports. If they were to tell me like, yo, if you play a lot of sports, you're going to be fit, I would believe them 100%, because I can see the result right in front of my face. It didn't stop me from not doing sports, but that's a struggle I have to deal with now. But when it comes to things like your passions, bro, things you really want to do deep in your soul, I don't think anybody can really tell you what's right or wrong for you outside of yourself. And the reason you wait so long, the reason you stall and you can't really decide on what to do next, is because so many people have instilled that fear into your everyday life, into your decisions, into your thoughts even. You don't even know if what you're thinking is right or wrong at this point. because one person tells you that it is right. One person's like, yeah, they justify you. They're like, yeah, of course, you're absolutely right. But then somebody else that you care about comes in and they're like, no, why are you thinking like that? What are you doing? Who taught you that? You shouldn't be thinking that way. Think about it. How many people have you let influence your own decisions? How many people are in your head right now telling you that what you're doing isn't good enough, what you're doing was never good enough, that you'll never be good enough? How many? Because I guarantee you that didn't come from you. That came from somebody else. That came from freaking somebody down the street who don't know what the hell they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I genuinely believe overthinking is not something anybody is born with, but it is something that is instilled within us through negative life experiences and through people who don't really know what's good for us. That's my thoughts on it. You might feel a different way. If you do, put in the comments. But I'm gonna leave you guys with that thought, because that's the kind of thoughts that I've had over the recent years. I've had so many thoughts of like, sorry if my voice is cutting out, by the way. My throat is being kind of weird today, but I've realized that so many things in my life would be different if I didn't let other people turn me into an overthinker. And in part, it's their fault for, pressing their beliefs on me, but also in a bigger part, in more of the responsibility, it's my fault for letting it happen and choosing not to believe in myself. Because let me tell you, the days that I feel confident, there's not a lot of thinking going on, right? Think about a day when you felt super confident in what you were doing, right? Like, exactly what you're doing. How much thinking really goes into that day? I would wager it's not a lot, because you have experience. You've done it time and time again. And even if you're getting advice from somebody who is higher up in the ladder of this thing that you're trying to do, what works for them is not going to work for you necessarily. Yeah, they can teach you certain systems or things that they learned that help them with their process. But growing the thing that you want to do ultimately is up to you at the end of the day. It's not about what your mom says. It's not about what your dad says. It's not about what freaking Aunt Judy, who gets all her information from Facebook, says. You know what I'm saying? To any Aunt Judys out there, I'm sorry, but that's just an example of what I mean. Either way, I hope this video was able to help you open up your mind a little bit to the possibility that maybe all the worrying and overthinking that you do, it's not really your fault, bro. It's not. And you can choose to believe in yourself. You can. And you should. You should believe in yourself. I think we all should believe in ourselves, Have a little more faith in yourself, guys. I'm trying to have a little more faith in me. So, if you liked the video, thank you so much for watching this far. I really appreciate it. I really hope we can all reach a state of mind where we don't have so much doubt that comes with ourselves or the people that are around us. I really want to see a time in the world where people just do nothing but lift each other up. That would be awesome. Either way, if you like the message, please give the video a like. If you want to follow me along on my journey and kind of get more of a peek into my mind about these kind of topics, please hit subscribe. I'm going to keep trying to upload videos at least every other day. I don't know if every single day works for me, but every other day seems to be okay. Either way, that's going to be it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Believe in yourself. Stop overthinking. That was taught to you by somebody else, bro.